Oh, great. What I was saying was thank you to Katarina and to Rich for inviting me to speak and to share with you this evening. And thank you to my wife, Madeline, for being here and supporting me this evening as well. So my topic is the Acorn's Promise. And I guess to start off, let me show you what I carry in my pocket, if you can see it, is I always have this acorn with me. And whenever I reach in my pocket to get change or just to reach into my pocket, I touch it and, we'll sometimes take it out. But it's a physical and reminder, a touch point of certain principles that I aspire to, that I subscribe to, and that I try to remember at all times. And some of those principles are is when you think about an acorn, and we're fortunate that we've all had biology, and so you understand that this acorn is also an oak tree. And that however, if you had not been educated to know that, you wouldn't really have a clue what this is based on its appearance. And so if we judge it by its appearance, we have no idea of the potential that is inside of this little entity that we call an acorn. But if we think about it, for me, what this acorn symbolizes for me is our innate potential. And that if we judge our potential by immediate appearances, we can really be very limited in our understanding and our perceptions, and therefore self-limit ourselves in terms of our tremendous potential. So if you think about the acorn and think about yourself, that despite appearances, we're all blessed and born with phenomenal potential. And when you think about the acorn has a divine pattern embedded in it. The acorn doesn't need us to educate it that it is an oak tree. The perfect pattern for its perfect expression is already embedded in the oak tree. What is needed for this acorn or any acorn to become an oak tree are certain conditions. It has to be planted in rich soil by humans or by animals, or however it gets planted in the right kind of soil. It has to have water. It has to have sunlight. It has to have space to grow. And given these conditions, over time, it will become an oak tree. Now, another thing I found very interesting is that another condition that's required for an acorn to grow into a full oak tree is that the acorn and the oak tree, when they looked at the root system of the oak tree, one of the requirements for its growth is that it be part of a community. Is that when they looked at the network of the root structure and the underground universe, that there were other plants, there were fungi and bacteria, and they found that other plants that were not oak trees exchanged minerals and energy and substances with the oak tree at appropriate times, and the oak tree responded and did likewise. And the fungi nourished, and bacteria nourished all of the life there. And they found that in the summertime, that the oak tree, as it was taking in sunlight and water, it would provide certain nutrients and certain elements to some of the other plants. And as fall and winter came, the other plants would in turn provide nutrients back to the oak tree. So this network, underground network, is one of the necessary conditions. This underground community is one of the underground conditions for the growth of the oak tree. Another thing to keep in mind is that while there is a perfect pattern already embedded in each acorn, yet each acorn is different. Each acorn is an individual, each oak tree is an individualized expression of the perfect pattern. So it is both recognized as an oak tree and it is different with some unique characteristics. And so I say that to say that I think that we share many of those principles and many of those aspects in our lives with the acorn that becomes an oak tree. And so I would like us to think about the tremendous potential that is divinely imprinted, that is divinely a part of our lives. We didn't put it there, it is there. And that those potentials are embedded in us, they're part of our divine birthright. And when we use the word promise, when we talk about the acorn's promise or any promise, I think we have to look at that word promise and with two kind of different but related sets of definitions. In one sense, a promise, if I make a promise to you or you to me, it's a commitment. It's a commitment to do something or provide something in the future. The other way to look at a promise is potential. We look at a young kid who's maybe running or jumping or who's playing an instrument or singing, and we may say that that child has potential. And what we mean is that that child has an innate ability that is being expressed and that if nurtured has tremendous potential to flourish and to express at a higher level. And so we use the word promise in both ways. And so I would say that each of us has been given a divine promise. We've been given a promise of tremendous potential, and we've been given a commitment by God, from God, that if we do our part, as we do our part, that the inherent divine pattern of perfection that is uniquely expressed as us will come into fruition. Now, what's different between us and the acorn is that we each have free will. We have consciousness, we have awareness, we have free will. And while we have the potential to be so much more than we may appear to be at any particular moment, and we have the divine blueprint embedded within us, as us, we have the potential, we have the free will to choose not to be an oak tree. We have the free will to choose not to be our highest potential. We have the free will to express at some lower level and to deny our identity. This is our God-given right. We can be distracted from understanding our tremendous potential. We can be distracted into seeing ourselves with lack, with limitation. We can be distracted to see ourselves as unworthy, as incapable. is undeserving, is all of the kinds of limitations that society might put upon us. And so we have the choices about how we will nourish our inner acorn, our inner oak tree. It is us who must make some decisions and must listen to and tune into our divine guidance, tune into that divine potential within us. And so I would say that some of the most important questions for us to contemplate is, what is our identity? If we were an acorn, would we identify as an oak tree? We have a choice. What would we identify as? And I think that there are three questions that are really important with regard to our identity. One is, what are you? Two, who are you? And three, why are you? And I think and this is Jim's contention, when we think about what we are, I would contend that we are individualized expressions of God, and that there is no separation of God from us. That we are like a wave in an ocean. You cannot separate the wave from the ocean. The wave is totally, in essence, the same material as the ocean. The wave is expressed by the movement of the ocean, but it cannot be separated from it, and the wave will recede back into the ocean from which it was never separate. So the wave is an individualized expression of the whole, and we cannot understand it apart from that. It is as if we took ocean water or took a part of a wave and put it into a bucket, and we said, well, what are you? And the wave said, well, I am bucket. We said, this is ridiculous. The bucket is just a container. It is not your essence. But yet we have been led to believe that we are nothing but our container, our unique form of expression in the human body. The other thing I would say is that we are part of the essential essence and substance of the universe. It is us. So not only are we an individualized expression, we are also part of an inseparable from the totality of God. We are one. And as one, we are consciousness. And because we are God in expression, our essential nature is God. And for me, when I look at the life of Jesus Christ, for me, I see him as a way shower. He was saying to me, this is who you really are. When you see I and the Father are one, know that I'm speaking about you as well. You may have difficulty believing it. So if you can't believe that, then believe in me, that when you see me, you see the Father. But I am telling you that the miraculous things that I do, so shall you do also. And so when we think about that we are God in essence, inseparable, and yet we are part of the divine consciousness, energy, and presence of the universe, it has great meaning for our capabilities and our potential. That just as God, we have the ability to create. our experiences, to create in our world, and to manifest. And just as God, we can create through our imagination, through what we envision, to where we focus our energy and attention, and to the feelings and vibrations that we give our thoughts and ideas. And that we are able to bring forth our thoughts and our ideas, our feelings, our intentions into visible manifestation, just as God does, and that God is experiencing and evolving our soul's experience through us. The other thing is that our interior environment expresses outwardly. And we often, it's easy to be deceived. It's easy for us to think that what we experience in our lives is solely coming at us from some external source, and to not see the connection between our own internal projections of energy and of intention and how it manifests in the world. So we have tremendous power to create our lives and to create our world, and tremendous responsibilities. So basically, in essence, we are God stuff. As God stuff, we are creators, we are manifestors, and we exist in a universe that operates according to certain laws. As you give, so shall you receive. As above, so below. As within, so without. So this gets to the idea that we are one. That actually there's only one of us in the world and in the universe. There is no separation. We are as the wave to the ocean. And so when I think about that, one of my favorite movies is The Color Purple. And in The Color Purple, if any of you have seen it, you know that Whoopi Goldberg played the lead character, and she was in a very abusive relationship with Mr. and had been sold to him and just lived an horrendous life. But she met another woman whom she fell in love with, Shug Avery, and then she was going away from Mr. And Mr. was threatening her and whatever. And she looked back at him and said, "Everything you've done to me already been done to you." That too often, if we play the victim, we don't see the return, the law of vibration, the law of reciprocity, the law of the circle in action. We don't see that very often. Chickens come home to roost in our lives. But when we understand these principles, it is empowering. It gives us agency. Because if we change our focus, if we change our energy, if we lift our vibration, we have the agency to make a difference in our lives and in others. What physicists have discovered is, in fact, what the physicists have come to call consciousness. They've come to understand that at the quantum level, all the rules, so many rules don't apply. That there is the rule of multi-locality, that when they take a particle and they ship it off and send it miles and miles away, that it responds instantly to what they do to the particle in the laboratory. That there is still a connection. And so we are connected to the consciousness of the universe. We have access to the intelligence of the universe, and we are able to access it very often through our heart and through our heart wisdom, through love. Love is the glue, the animating force of the universe. And it is unconditional love. So what we experience very often is, I think, a way that we are manipulated is by those who would keep us in fear and keep us thinking that we are separate from the other, and would teach us also that we live in a world of scarcity, lack, and limitation, when in fact we live in a world of infinite abundance, of plenitude, and that there is plenty for all, and that as we do unto others, we've already done unto ourselves. And so keeping us in fear perpetuates the illusion that there's actually more than one of us in the universe, that actually we can do unto others harmful, heinous things without influencing ourselves. And so I see much of that in operation. I see counter forces of love, counter forces of unity, many people expressing our oneness, many people working to bring us together across so-called divisions. But I think that we have the capability to do that by recognizing who we are, what we are, and the divine potential that has been implanted in us individually and as a human race. We are here for the purpose of our soul's evolution. I believe that we were really not, we were embodied, but we were not born. I believe that we will never die, that we will just transition, that our souls are, will be, are and will be forevermore. And that our soul, our agenda is to evolve Earth, evolve the soul, evolve our consciousness, and to bring forth new experience in the universe. So in summary, I'll say quickly, the acorn for me is a symbol of my tremendous God-given, God-essential potential, and for me to always anchor myself by the physical appearance of the acorn to remind me in a very tangential, a very essential manner of my own potential and of your potential, of our potential together.